Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this special live session. I hope some of you back from vacation had some time and enjoy and relax time, and probably very well deserved. And I'm Itzik Amiel, and we are here with a weekly Switch series, Switch It On, where we share ideas, insights, and inspiration, helping you as a professional to switch relationships to revenue, referrals, and reputation, and stand out, and you are invited. So if you're watching me now live, join us. You'll be fun. It's short and practical, as you say here in the Netherlands, kort and krachtig, short and powerful. And today we're going to talk about client meeting preparation, and specifically about cannot miss preparation steps for your next client meeting. So if you're joining us now, you know I'd love to see who's us in the room. So please type in the chat box who you are, where you're dialing from, so we all know, and I could share it with our international audience. And I could see some of you already joining. So if you're joining now, type in the chat box your name and where you're from, so we could share it with everybody else. See, for every professional, there's nothing more exciting than getting to the first face-to-face meeting with a potential client. You see, after Corona time, a lot of people experience it more and more. It's a sign that your work, your networking activities, your referral network, maybe even your social media and your personal brand has paid off. And someone is actually willing to spend their time talking to you about your services. In fact, Harvard Business Review survey revealed that 95% of people, your potential client, believe that face-to-face meetings are essential for gaining and maintaining long-term relationships, long-term business relationships. But in fact, 89% believe face-to-face meetings are critical for closing the deals. I mean, till now, even clients nowadays want to see you at least once. There should be a preparation in order to close the deal. But before you get ahead of yourself, this doesn't mean the deal is sealed, right? Far from it. That's where client meeting preparation comes in. So, what do you really need to do to prepare a meeting with a client and win their business? This is what I want in this episode to share with you, my friends, and very structured way you should think about it that will help you win the business and not spend your time and your client's time. We're going to talk about the preparation step before your next face to face or even your next video chat with a potential client. So you can implement them in your practice, in your career, and see what the difference it makes to you and see more success. But before I go deeper to explain, I want to say hello to the people who are joining. And as I said, please type in your name in the chat box. So I see Jakubas with us. Thank you very much from Lithuania. Thank you very much. I can see also Zakaria and Alex and Marina and Dave and Bochabula and Ogulu and Okur and Davarie. All of you are joining. Please type in the chat box, because I would love to share it with our audience as well, because everybody would like to know that you're here with us. And of course, if you have a question during the session, please also feel free to type it in the chat box. So I'll be happy to answer to you. Great. So with that, let me continue and talk about. So those of you joining us now, we're speaking about cannot miss preparation step for your next client meeting. And I'm glad you shared the time, invest, and to be with me. So let's start by setting the stage with your permission. What I mean by that, because some professionals still believe that client meetings start when you walk in the door and greet your clients. Wrong. It actually should begin much earlier, as you mentally prepare and reflect on how to make a meeting a success for both of you and the client. So, what is the real problem that I want to answer? Too often, we are preoccupied with the key message we're trying to deliver, correct? A point of view we want to convince our client of, or an agenda that we determine to get through at any cost. And this is a fact. This fact can be very, distress, causing us great damage, disaster to your business, meeting, and even for the long-term relationships. Furthermore, you may miss getting this potential client to become yours. And after all, that's what you want. So I suggest warmly to stay with me here and learn the relevant step you cannot miss to prepare properly for the meeting and get the business. If you understand the problem, that's what is step one to solve. And we're going to examine the step that you can take to apply in your practice in the business. Okay? So I hope you're here for that. I hope you agreed. If you're joining now, please you put your name in the chat. I want to see you here with me and I want to share with everybody else. That's an opportunity for you to stand out. So don't be shy over there. And if you have a question, ask it in the chat box so I can answer. So let's start with the first step. And the first step is research each and every attendee. Is something that I am sure you agree. When you know your audience, you can tailor-make the message and better steer the meeting, correct? And we're talking about a lot more info than the details of your primary contact. I mean, here, much more than just the name and the email and whatever. Many times, the decision of a client to hire your services are done by several people from the client organization. And you know it's true. So there's a good chance that everyone in the room will have a vote in the final decision to engage in your services or to hire you. So here is what I warmly suggest to you will do. First, ask for the meeting attendees so you know who will attend the meeting, the list of them in advance, and then do a quick web search. Check out their social media profile, their LinkedIn profile. Make note of titles. Check to see if they have any common connections, maybe common groups, maybe common interests with you. A quick check of also the company website is also a good idea, right? And to those of you who worked with me to implement these strategies or went through my 10 Connection to Client workshop cohort, you know that you can streamline these efforts by using all kind of business intelligence tools and strategies. That's the time to use them when you prepare about the attendees. So that's the most important thing. Many people don't even invest time, and that can also get you insight what's going to happen in a meeting. Okay? Step number 2. You ready for that? Because I'm going too fast. Again, if you have questions, ask it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll continue what I want to share with you today. So step number 2 for preparation is set a main goal and objective for the meeting. Given that it takes some time just to connect with a potential client, once you secure a face-to-face meeting, you certainly don't want to waste this opportunity by being unprepared, right? So get your goal and objective prepared ahead of the time. What do you want to achieve? What is your goal of that meeting? And after all, it's unlikely that the client primary need is to buy something. Client doesn't come to the meeting with you to buy something. So your goal cannot be to sell your services, okay? Because they are not coming for that reason. That means that your first goal should be to understand what your client's needs are. Because if you know your client's needs, then you could set your goal to solve those needs. Because if you succeed, you'll be ahead of the game. You'll be again above shoulder, but the rest of professionals don't do it. I promise you that. Now, how do you find, you're probably asking? So you might need to put yourself in the client's shoes. Somebody asked me, how do you do that? You take off your own shoes, you put your client's shoes, like you've been your client, and make an educated guess based on your business and maybe competitive intelligence you gather along the way. And just make us a guess in that case. You always can establish later on more expertise and have a better guess. But make a guess what the client needs are. Okay, I want to say hello to people who are joining us now, and I see you again. Type your name in the chat box because I want everybody to see you joining us. Now, by thinking about that, that's already bring me to the third step to prepare properly for the client meeting. Thank you very much, Diana and Rajesh and Alexei and Garnov and Jean and Thomas and Brandy and Danny and Mark. I can see all of you joining, but none of you chatting the name. I mean, you're too embarrassed. You should stand out and see you are here with me. Thank you very much for that. So step number 3 of preparing for the meeting is work on your personal approach. That's what I think you should do. Because when you're on stage of a face-to-face meeting, you know you're dealing with someone who's interested because they're coming to meet you. They heard about you. They weighted up all the options they had and are now spending their time, or I should say, maybe investing their time to come and see you. Therefore, your personal approach is a make or break part of your client meeting preparation, because it's very important how you come to it. So work on yourself and adopt the right mindset, the right attitude before you enter that meeting. You want some tips? So here are some tips you should always do your best to achieve before coming to the meeting when you change your attitude. What can you do? Have a relaxed smile at the beginning of the meeting. Can you work on that? If you don't do, go to the mirror, put a bit of sellotape in the side of your mouth and smile all day long. Just try it. Learn to do that. A cool, confident talk. Very important. Learn to do that. Good posture and hand movement. Also important part of your mindset, the way you enter to the meeting. And not to forget, one of the most important things, and I love to talk about it because all my best-selling book, the attention switch is regarding that, is active listening. If you learn to do all those things, then you'll be again much prepared for the meeting. Most people don't come prepared and find themselves, have to be alert, not in the right moment of time, or maybe not in the right moment to have even the meeting. Yeah. Again, if you have a question, people ask me. If you have a question, please type it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer it during the episode. So it's done for you. I'm doing it for you. So if you're here with me, you're investing your time, keep asking your question. I'll be happy to share. Okay, you ready to proceed? Those of you are there with me, and I see you joining. Thank you for that. So we are now in step number 4, preparation for client meeting. And step number 4 is plan the agenda to support your goals. Your agenda of the meeting should reflect the logical progression of content designated or designed to keep your potential client engaged, because that's what they wanted to happen during the meeting. After all, the idea to focus on them, on their need, not on you, not to share who you are. That's not the purpose of the meeting. And here's another warm suggestion for you after talking to thousands and mentoring thousands of lawyers and accountants around the world. Allocate a few minutes near the end of the conversation, the end of the meeting, for questions and for the next step discussions, because you want to come with very practical results out of the meeting. So always have time in the end of the meeting for those sort of things. Needless to mention that your agenda would help you to measure your success of the meeting. So if you don't have an agenda, you don't even know if you're successful. If you have an agenda, you can see what did you come through and how did during that meeting. Was it successful? Wasn't it? Why wasn't it? Yeah. And I can see already people joining. Thank you very much for Juan Carlos. Thank you very much for joining. I'm happy you are with me. Thank you very, very much. Great that you put in. Again, if somebody's joining and want to share your name in the chat, please do that. So if you're curious, what is the next step for a successful client meeting? Step number 5 is give your client your attention. I think you cannot escape from me not talking about attention, but also here, the attention, the important part of the meeting or preparation for the meeting. Because it's obvious, but ultimately your client are only interested in what you have to offer if it can help them. They're not there to spend the time. They believe you can help them, but now they're coming to the meeting to see if you can really help them. Therefore, you need to actively listen to what they have to say before you begin your sharing. What do you want to say? As you're listening, you need to show them that you're paying attention. You're paying your full attention. You're not thinking about something else, what you eat for dinner or what you have else in that day on the agenda. You're there, present in the meeting. You have to give them that. That includes occasionals, maybe a body language, maybe a nods of your head that you're agreeing, maybe other gesture to continue and reiterate a point of support for what they're saying to you. You can even take notes. We're also calling it mirroring the behavior of the client. If they take notes, you may take notes. As well as write down any question to address to your client later. You should do that during the meeting. All those things are very important clues that you're really there and you're giving them your full attention. So prepare for that before the meeting so you know what to do during the meeting. The next step for a successful client meeting, step number 6, is have a plan B. Yes, have a plan B. Of course, meeting, like life, don't always go as planned, right? The meeting could start late or maybe get cut short. Happened to you? Happened to me many times. Or maybe it got sidetracked due to maybe another valuable discussion you have with the client. What do you do then? So I want you to prepare for the unexpected. How are you asking? With contingency plan, building your plan B. How? I want you to think and consider what content could be taken out of the meeting. They don't need to include necessarily meeting. You plan to talk about it, but maybe you don't have to. And what content can be included as part of, for example, the follow-up? So if you don't have time to talk about during the meeting because the meeting short or a sidetrack, you can use it later on in your follow-up after the meeting. That will help you keep your goal in mind and not trying to run after yourself and keep everything you wanted to say. Okay? So have plan B, think about plan B, have it with you always when we go to meeting. It will help a lot when the unexpected occurring during the meeting. And before I go to step number 5, I wanted to say hello to some people who are joining us. Thank you. Jacobas again, Juan Carlos Jagola, Galchino, Pon, Maseni, Manisha said, Diana, Danny, Mark, Alex, Lorraine, Renane, Chaim, thank you very much. Bermuda, okay. Lovely. I didn't know person have name like that thing. And I have some anonymous people who didn't choose the name, but thank you for joining us and investing your time to learn how to prepare for client meeting. And I want to continue because if you have any question, please type it in the chat box and I'll be happy to answer it. If not, let me continue with sharing with you the next step for a client meeting for the preparation. Okay. So you're asking what's the next step? That's an important step, but unfortunately, the next step many professionals take for granted. And I mean, step number 7 is plan your follow-up activities. And I did a lot of webinars and seminars and training about follow-up and still doing so because I believe that, and I know that statistics show that 98% of professionals fail on the follow-up. But also many researchers don't show that about 40% of prospects become new clients during a face-to-face meeting. But of course, there's no guarantee it's happened during the first getting together with this client. So the big step in your preparation should be coordinating these follow-up activities. Think about it in advance. What you want to do to follow up after the meeting is over. Maybe a call, maybe a Zoom call, maybe a meeting face-to-face, another one, maybe a note. And don't forget the meeting follow-up isn't a matter of one and done, those kind of things that you just get rid of them. Not at all. Far from it, actually. It requires many follow-up action on a consistent basis. Staying in touch is a hard work, but it should be joyful and it's for a long term. So stick with it. Only then your efforts will pay with results. So the meeting is actually the first seed, but if you prepare in advance, you should think already, what should I do afterward? So when you are in a meeting, you prepare the follow-up action. And the last cannot miss step that many professionals miss, and that's step number 8, if I correct correctly. And thank you very much. You can see that's a question. So let me the question before I say. Somebody asked me, and again, LinkedIn user cannot see your name, so please the next time add your name. How does your strategy look like when you want to create opportunity with a cold account? So that's a very good one. And actually, everything I spoke today is about cold account. I'm talking about cold clients. These are people you didn't know in advance. But when you prepare in advance, when you come to the meeting, you won't be as a stranger. Actually, it's also I'm doing and advising a lot of firms, a lot of lawyers to that well advanced when you go to a conference. Instead of going to the conference and meeting people, it's almost like a face-to-face meeting. First time there in the conference, maybe in the other side of the world, and you just spend your time, invest your time to travel, to go there, and you have only introductory meeting. Get rid of all those things by preparing very well, even a few months in advance. When you prepare well and when you come to an event, you'll meet somebody. Maybe the first time you meet them face-to-face, but they're not anymore a cold person. They have some acquaintance. You share with them something via email, via online, maybe add online Zoom call as well. And now when you come to meet them face-to-face for the first time, they're not anymore this stranger. And I'm happy that most of you know what I'm talking about, because during Corona, a lot of you talk to a lot of strangers never met before. And maybe now when we're out of this curfew and we meet people and going to conferences, you meet some people you never met in your lifetime, but you talk to them for a long time online. Isn't that a strange feeling? It's not the same feeling of meeting a stranger, a cold pitch. It's really somebody who was still a stranger because you never met them face to face, but because you connected with them, build relationship, prepare almost for that meeting. When you meet them first time, it's not the same feeling. I hope you understand what I mean there. And I can see also, thank you, Alfonso, for joining us from Bogota, Colombia. Happy to be here. Hope everything is well. I didn't visit you for a long time. Hope to see you again, man, very soon. So allow me to talk about the last step that I said, the last misstep that many professionals miss when they are preparing for a meeting. And that's step number 8. Analyze and evaluate your performance. Again, analyze and evaluate your performance. All the preparation you did worth nothing if you don't do that. Because despite the relief and maybe hopefully the joy of ending a meeting, your job is not done yet. Well, everything is fresh in your mind after the meeting. Take 10 minutes to reflect how it went, how it really went. Things you can take notes to include maybe difficult question you had during the meeting, maybe stumbling blocks in your presentation didn't go well. What didn't go well? Maybe overrunning your meeting time. Write down all this, reflect on all these points. Maybe topics of conversation to avoid that you don't want to repeat because it didn't work well, and more. This is the moment when your client meeting preparation start for future event, for future meeting. If you do that, you're already preparing for your future meeting. So it's indirectly by concluding one meeting, you prepare for the next one. Because if you don't learn from your mistake, and I'm right here, you're doomed to repeat them. If you don't learn from mistake, you're doomed to repeat them, and you don't want to repeat them because you will not get benefits out of it. So start writing up a list of do and don't that you can refer to it later on when you look at it before future meeting, when you prepare for future meeting. So do that on a regular basis, and you see sooner or later you're gonna get such a list that is a joy to see. Sometimes when you dumping things you were not good in the past become better in the future. So these are the 8 points, and as you go through each of these steps of running and engaging client meeting, you'll find it become easier, and they will turn. I promise you, do that in the order I gave it to you. They'll turn into be a new habit for you, and not even think about when you go to the next meeting. This will help you become more organized and ultimately reap, if I allow me to say, better results out of your client's meeting, because that's what you want. And let me add another important point: always, and I really mean always, be candid. Because for many of us as professionals, the relationships and the human side of the work are our favorite aspect of it. At least for me, and I know for my career as a lawyer, that's the part I love: the interacting with people, to meet stranger, to making your best allies. And that's the best part, because that's where you see flower of your ideas, of your knowledge coming to life and helping other people. So keep a strong balance of professionalism, but also social connection during your meeting. And don't be afraid to be yourself. Make even clients laugh. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't be this stiff professional that I see many people doing, don't know how to get out of it. Because in many cases, and remember that, the client isn't choosing the firm, but the professional they have the best interaction with. And in that case, I want you to be that professional. I want you that professional they choose to work with. And based on that, they'll work with your firm. And it's obvious that not properly handling a client meeting, and those listening to me and it made mistake like that, could be a really deal breaker for obtaining new business or even retaining current clients that you have now. So I assume you got to see how essential it is to remain organized and professional throughout planning and running the client meeting. Using organized meeting agendas and taking diligent notes to reference during the other stage of building the relationship help you remain systematic and get more opportunities to grow your business. So to summarize this great session, let me share a powerful quote by Abraham Lincoln, who said, "Give me 6 hours to chop up down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the X." How important the preparation to really get a successful result. Again, anybody who has any question and want to ask now, that's the time. I already asked. Thank you very much, LinkedIn user. I'm happy that you like the answer. Anybody have any answer, anything that's really not clear what I said to you, that's the time to ask. Type it in the chat. If not, now, my friends, it's the time to take action and really implement what you've learned in this session. I trust you got some interesting insights on cannot miss preparation step for your next client meeting. If you need our help implementing it in your practice, or if you just want to learn how to build a winning client relationships, this is exactly what we do for our clients. Professionals like you and me around the world, we train them, we mentor them, and even doing the work for them, what to write, how to write, everything. So if you need that help, send me an email or PM message to me so I can see how can we help. Next week, you have another amazing top expert to discuss new practical strategy to grow your practice and build better relationship, reputations, and referrals. If you want to make sure you will never miss one of our weekly Switch On interview series, follow me on LinkedIn or go to the Switch Hub website where you can sign up, get a match, my business development strategies and tip, and I'll put right away for you the link so you can see where it is on the screen. It's the hub.theswitch.ch. You can sign up, get my business development strategies, tips for free, and check and register to one of my new online courses or live workshop. I think you would love them. More coming your way to really change your habit, make you better. There are two new ones now about networking and conferences and getting more results. And you're very welcome again to send me a private message or email to ask any question you have and see how can it be of value to you and your practice. For now, I want to thank each one of you for joining us. Thank you for all of you around the world. I counted till now while you are typing. I counted out more than 43 countries. So I'm awesome to be with all of you here on LinkedIn and to be able to share the knowledge. See everyone next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central European Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. And remember, it is never too late to switch on and prepare your next client meeting. Until next time, thank you everybody and bye for now.